For 3 nights she lay inside a coffin, silent and still, chasing wealth that promised no end. But on the 3rd night her blood betrayed her. Now her story lives only in whispers, the tale of Layefa, the beautiful girl who bargained with death. Welcome to African Tales by Chinwa. Breathing life into African tales, the morning sun rose gently over the creeks of Oporoma, its golden rays gliding across the rippling water like shy dancers. Wooden canoes bobbed lazily by the shore, and the sound of distant paddles echoed between the mangroves. Amid the scent of palm wine and wet earth, a young woman sat by a narrow wooden window, brushing her long, thick hair. Her name was Layefa, the kind of beauty that turned silence into language. Her skin was the soft brown of roasted kola, her eyes bright and daring, her body curved like the letters of a love song. But beneath that beauty was a restless fire, the hunger to escape the life she had been born into. Her mother, Mama Ijaw, coughed as she poured gari into small nylon bags for market. "Layefa," she said without looking up, "if beauty alone brought money, you for dawn build house for me since." Layefa smiled faintly. "Mama, one day it go happen. I no fit die for this creek. I must make M." The older woman sighed. "Now wet in your papa talk before he enter that river. Last time ambition dey sweet, but the city dey swallow people." But Layefa wasn't listening anymore. Her mind was already far away, in Port Harcourt, the city of lights, oil, and opportunity. She had heard stories of people who went there with nothing and came back with cars, phones, and fine English accents. She wasn't going to let her beauty rot by the river. A month later, Layefa stood at the Mile 3 motor park in Port Harcourt, dragging a faded box and clutching a nylon bag of fried fish. The city assaulted her senses, honking buses, shouting hawkers, the smell of fuel and roasted corn. Everything moved fast, everyone talked loud. She found a small room in Rumuola, shared with 2 other girls she barely knew, and with a borrowed dress and a pair of fake lashes, she started her new job as a receptionist at Royal Orchid Hotel, a busy mid-range hotel where politicians, oil workers, and men with secrets came to rest. From the front desk, Layefa saw it all, men stepping out of SUVs with girls on their arms, perfume heavy in the air, women in short dresses checking in at midnight and leaving at dawn, counting crisp naira notes. She watched with wide eyes, her smile polite but her thoughts racing. "Now who them be?" she whispered one evening to her colleague. "Joy." Joy chuckled, chewing gum. "Them? Those are the real business women in this hotel. Forget that receptionist work where you dey do. My sister. Those girls make in one night what we earn in 3 months." Layefa laughed, but the thought didn't leave her mind. One rainy evening, the hotel lobby glowed under golden light. A tall man in a white caftan strolled to the reception counter. His perfume was strong, his wrist heavy with gold. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to Royal Orchid," Layefa said sweetly, adjusting her name tag. He smiled. "You have a beautiful smile, my dear. You're wasted behind this counter." Layefa blushed slightly. "Thank you, sir. How may I help you?" He leaned in. "By letting me take you to dinner tonight. Just dinner." She hesitated. Her shift wasn't over. She'd never gone out with a guest before. But the man's confidence was intoxicating, and when he slid a 20,000 naira note across the counter, whispering, "For your time," her heart skipped. Later that night, she sat on her bed staring at the money. 20,000 naira for just smiling. Her monthly salary was 40,000 naira, And she hadn't even done anything the next day, her colleagues teased her. Better no go fall for these city men, oh, one warned. Layefa only smiled. Fall, she thought. Maybe I just need to learn how to fly. Weeks turned into months. The job drained her spirit. She smiled at rude customers, cleaned up after drunk guests, and watched rich girls her age walk past her in designer heels. Sometimes at night she'd call her mother. "Mama, I dey fine," she'd lie, forcing cheer into her voice. "I go soon send money." But she never had enough rent, transport, feeding. Everything swallowed her pay. One Sunday morning, while dusting the reception counter, she overheard two guests laughing near the bar. "Those girls are cashing out, my guy. One just told me she made 250,000 naira last night." Layefa froze. She didn't need to ask which girls they meant. They were talking about the call girls who frequented the hotel. That night, as she stood by the reception watching the lights of the city flicker through the glass, her reflection stared back at her, beautiful but broke. She whispered to herself, "If they can make that kind of money, why can't I?" Her chance came 2 weeks later. A woman in a red dress, tall, elegant, and commanding, walked up to the counter. Layefa recognized her instantly. Tega, one of the most popular escorts who lodged there frequently. Tega smiled, her red lipstick flawless. "Baby girl, you fine-o. Why you dey waste your time for counter?" Layefa laughed shyly. "No work way I see." "Work?" Tega scoffed. "This city no day reward good girls, oh. If you get beauty and sense, use am." That night, Tega added her on WhatsApp. The next day, she sent Layefa photos of designer bags, cars, and transfers, proof of the life she was living. "If you're ready," Tega texted, "I'll introduce you to someone who pays well. Just one night. You go thank me later." Layefa's heart pounded as she stared at the message. Outside, thunder rumbled across the Port Harcourt sky. Inside, a different kind of storm was brewing, one that would change her life forever. The following weekend, Layefa sat in front of a small mirror in her room, staring at her reflection. The city's noise hummed through the window, honking kiki, generators droning like tired bees, music from a nearby bar. On her phone, the message from Tiga blinked again. 8 p.m. sharp. Blue Horizon Hotel. Wear something that makes you feel expensive. Layefa bit her lip. Her heart pounded. She wasn't sure what she was doing, but she was sure of why. For months, she had smiled at other people's wealth. Tonight, she wanted to taste hers. She borrowed a gold dress from her roommate, patched it with pins where it didn't fit, and took a Bolt taxi to Blue Horizon Hotel. The place was nothing like where she worked. Chandeliers glowed like tiny suns, perfume hung thick in the air, and the men wore money like skin. Tiga met her at the bar, sipping champagne. Her eyes glimmered when she saw Layefa. "Ah, see fine girl nah. My dear, you go make these men cry," she said, hugging her tightly. Layefa smiled nervously. "I no even know wetin to say if the man show." "Just smile. Talk small. No rush. Remember, you're the prize." Moments later, a man approached mid-40s, soft voice, expensive wristwatch. "Is this your friend, Tega?" he asked. "Yes," Tega replied. "But she's special. First time." The man smiled knowingly. "Then tonight is her lucky night." He introduced himself as Mr. Kelvin, an oil contractor. His cologne was heavy, his voice gentle but commanding. Before Layefa could overthink, Tega whispered, "Don't be shy. Trust me." That night, Layefa didn't sleep. She sat in a hotel bed beside a sleeping man, staring at the ceiling as the sound of rain tapped against the window. She had just earned 200,000 naira, more than her entire yearly savings. In the morning, she walked home under the drizzle, the envelope tucked deep in her bag. She should have felt ashamed, but she didn't. All she felt was power. The next week, she handed in her resignation letter. Her supervisor frowned. "Layefa, you sure say you won't quit? You're one of our best." Layefa smiled faintly. "I just need something better, sir." And better came fast. Tega introduced her to other clients, other hotels, other girls who lived by night and slept by day. Within a month, Layefa had her own circle of customers. Men from Abuja, Port Harcourt, even Ghana Layefa had transformed completely. Gone was the shy hotel receptionist. In her place stood Ijaw Pepper, a name whispered by men who spent recklessly and boasted loudly. She had learned the game, how to smile without feeling, how to flirt without blinking, how to drink without getting drunk. She had also learned the market value of her beauty, 150,000 naira on a slow night, 300,000 naira on weekends, sometimes 500,000 naira if the man was generous or lonely enough. The money was intoxicating. She sent cash to her mother, bought new wigs, and filled her wardrobe with designer clothes. She walked like she owned the city. But deep down, a quiet voice whispered, "You have everything, but you still need even more." The nights blurred together, hotels, perfumes, laughter, lies. She began to see men as numbers, not faces. Some were kind, some cruel, all forgettable. One of them, a politician from Abuja, gifted her an iPhone and 3 million naira in cash after a weekend trip to Bonny Island. She cried tears of joy that day, convinced she had finally escaped poverty. But within a week, the money was gone. Rent, outfits, hair, family, new phone accessories. And she was broke again. That was when it struck her for the first time. No matter how much she earned, she could never hold on to it. At first, Layefa thought she had everything under control. Beauty, clients, and money flowing like river water. But slowly, the dark side of the business began to show itself. One evening, a wealthy man checked into the hotel, tall, charming, with that soft, expensive voice that could melt any woman's guard. He offered Layefa her usual fee, but as the night went on, his tone changed. "Baby," he said gently, "I don't enjoy using protection. I'll triple your price." Layefa hesitated. Every instinct warned her to say no. But the sight of the crisp notes in his hand silenced her better judgment. 200,000 naira became 600,000 naira in a blink. In her mind, she told herself, "It's just one night." But that single night came with a price she never imagined. Days later, her body began to rebel, fever, pain, burning discomfort. She visited a private clinic, hoping for a quick fix. But the doctor's words hit her like thunder. It was a severe infection, one that had already spread. The treatment was long, painful, and expensive. By the time she recovered, she had spent 10 times what the man had paid her. Her body healed, but her confidence didn't. That night she realized that the money she risked her life for was the same money paying for her pain. And that in the streets she had chosen, every glow came with a shadow. Then she decided to return back to work, because at this point she had no other option. That night, Layefa met Mr. Daniel, handsome, confident, and generous. He drove a sleek black car and spoke with the calm assurance of money. He had offered her 500,000 naira for the night. Easy money. Everything felt harmless, even exciting. The city lights danced on her face as they laughed down the busy streets. But as the car turned toward the lonely Rumokoro road, the laughter died. The night grew quieter, darker. Daniel's voice faded, his grip on the steering wheel tightening. Something about his silence chilled her. "Where we they go?" she asked softly. "Just relax," he replied, but his smile had lost its warmth. Moments later, Layefa noticed a brown rope on the back seat and a black calabash covered with a red cloth. The air smelled of burnt herbs and danger. Her spirit stirred, fear crawled up her spine. When Daniel reached under his seat, she saw the tremor in his hand, the strange glint in his eyes. Not desire, but hunger. Her instincts screamed. "Stop the car," she cried. He didn't. The tires hissed faster through the night. She fought back, scratching, kicking, grabbing for the door handle. The car swerved wildly. She tore herself free, flung the door open, and rolled out onto the rough road, bruised but alive. Behind her, Daniel's car stopped briefly. His dark silhouette stood motionless in the red taillights. Then, seeing police lights ahead, he jumped back in and sped off into the blackness. Layefa lay trembling by the roadside, her dress torn, her palms bleeding, her breath shallow. For the second time, death had looked her in the face and spared her. She didn't tell anyone. She just went home, bathed in silence, and stared at herself in the mirror. The woman who looked back wasn't the same Layefa from Oporoma. This one had hollow eyes and trembling hands. The awful experiences in prostitution had shaken Layefa to her core. The endless sickness, the emptiness that no money could fill. And now the man who almost used her for ritual. All of it haunted her nights. For the first time, she began to wonder if prostitution was truly worth it. She sat before her mirror, staring at her tired reflection. Her eyes were puffy, her spirit weary. "This can't be my life forever," she whispered. "There must be another way." One Sunday afternoon, she was invited to a private pool party, an exclusive gathering for high-profile ladies. She went dressed in a white swimsuit and kimono that clung to her curves. The place was a paradise, champagne flowing, cameras flashing, laughter thick with secrets. Around the pool lounged women of all shades. Models, influencers, politicians' girlfriends. They called themselves the Circle. At the head of the group was Duchess, a tall, light-skinned woman who wore diamonds like water. People said she once dated a governor. Now she ran her own connections. Duchess eyed Layefa with interest. "I've heard about you, Miss Ijaw Pepper. You've got the kind of face that opens doors, if you know the right people." Layefa smiled shyly. "I'm just trying to survive, Ma." "Survive?" Duchess laughed softly. "No, darling. Surviving is for the broke. You should be thriving." Her words sank into Layefa's heart like honey laced with poison. By nightfall, Duchess invited Leafa into a smaller room lit with red candles and low music. A few girls were seated talking about clients and spiritual protection. One girl whispered, "You can't be playing with these big men without strong backing. Some of them use you, others drain your luck." Leafa frowned. "Drain your luck? How?" Duchess smiled knowingly. "Everything spiritual has a price. That's why some of us fortify ourselves, so that when men come to take, they leave empty, and we stay full." Another girl nodded, showing off waist beads that shimmered faintly under the red light. "Charm of attraction," she said proudly, "prepared by a man in Wari, Baba something." Before she could finish, Layefa chuckled softly and completed it for her. "Baba Oyinkroor?" The girls turned to her, surprised. "You know him?" one of them asked. Layefa nodded slowly, her smile fading into memory. "I used to get my attraction charms from him. The man is strong, very strong. Anything he prepares works like magic." Duchess leaned forward, her eyes narrowing with curiosity. "So you already know the path, my dear?" "Why stop halfway?" Layefa laughed nervously, waving her glass. "A beg, I no even get strength for charms again. This work don't tire me." But even as she said it, her mind was no longer at the party. It drifted back to Baba Oyinkro's shrine, the smell of burning herbs, the sound of drums, his deep voice echoing from behind a veil of smoke. She remembered how he once told her, "Fine girl, this your beauty never reach half of your destiny. If you want to open it, come back when you're ready." At the time, she thought it was just talk, but now, sitting among women who flaunted wealth, cars, and connections, the words began to itch inside her chest. For the first time in a long while, Layefa felt something stronger than excitement. Curiosity. As the laughter around her grew louder, she sat quietly, staring into her drink, her heart whispering one name over and over again. Baba Oyinkro. By the time she left the party, her decision was made. She would go back, not for attraction charms this time, but for something bigger, something that would end her struggle for good, or end her altogether. When she arrived at his shrine days later, the air was thick with incense and old spirits. Carved masks lined the walls, and a strange red light flickered from a clay pot in the corner. Baba Oyinkro's eyes gleamed like coals as he watched her enter. "Ah, daughter of the river," he said, "I knew you would return. The spirits have been waiting." Layefa bowed slightly. "Baba, I no want charm again. I want real money. Money way no go ever finish." The old man smiled slowly, revealing yellowed teeth. "Then you must pay a price bigger than charm." He told her the ritual. She must sleep in a casket for 3 days. No food, no water, no sound. But there was one warning. "If your blood flows during that time," he said, "you will desecrate the spirits. You will not come out alive." Layefa's heart pounded, but greed whispered louder than fear. She agreed. She would do it. After confirming her monthly flow was still a week away, Layefa returned to the shrine. The night was still, the moon pale and watchful. Drums echoed softly as Baba and 2 apprentices prepared the wooden coffin lined with red cloth. She wore a white wrapper, her hair loose, her feet bare. As she stepped into the casket, she whispered to herself, "After this, my life go change forever." The lid closed, darkness swallowed her. For 3 days the shrine was silent, until the 3rd night. Inside the coffin, Layefa began to feel cramps. Sweat rolled down her face. Something warm trickled down her thigh. She gasped. Her period had started. Outside, Baba paused mid-incantation. A cold wind swept through the shrine, snuffing out the candles. Then came a piercing scream from inside the coffin, and silence. When Baba opened it at dawn, Layefa lay still, her once glowing face pale, her body lifeless. He staggered back, trembling, as the wind howled through the open door. And that was how Layefa, the girl from the creeks who wanted to change her family's story, ended hers inside a coffin, chasing wealth that never let her live to enjoy it. Layefa longed for riches that would never finish, but in the end, it was her life that did. The spirits gave her exactly what she asked for, just not the way she imagined. So I ask you, what is truly worth more? Fast money or lasting peace? Let's talk in the comments. This has been African Tales by Chinwa, breathing life into African tales. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling stories that whisper through the night.